Tzu Chi disaster relief team assessed the cyclone damages in Mozambique using helicopter. We look at the widening gap between rich and poor in Cambodia in the past few years. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. In Mozambique, Tzu Chi Foundation has already conducted aid distributions in one cyclone-affected area. Tzu Chi volunteers have continued their relief mission, hoping to deliver more help to the people in need. In addition, the National Disaster Management Institute has invited the disaster relief team to go on the helicopter and have a better look at the situation.
Looking down from the helicopter, we can clearly see the damages at Beira Airport. Many buildings have been devastated by Cyclone Idai. Heading to the disaster-affected district of Buzzy, many houses and roads have been destroyed. The farmlands are still flooded as well. Gura is another disaster area where many affected residents have been accommodated.
This first stage, we really need to resettle the people. And at this stage, we need construction material and shelter kits. And then in second phase, where we are discussing together of the future of the village, we can think in terms of a new city, a new village.
The General Director of INGC is grateful for Tzu Chi's assistances. Besides distributing aid supplies, she's also conducting both midterm and long-term rescue plans. Therefore, she invited Tzu Chi volunteers to join her to evaluate the situation of the disaster.
She did not force us at all. She said that we should do our best in terms of helping the affected residents. She saw how much effort that we have put in, so today she invited us to join her and take a look at the actual situation.
Right at the moment, a strong wind came blowing at the venue. The residents are used to the strong winds. On the other hand, Tzu Chi disaster relief team is planning to deliver help to the disaster-affected areas. This trip can also help them gain a better understanding of the situation. Moreover, the UN had established a temporary office at the airport. Every morning at 9 o'clock, there will be a meeting to update the new information. For now, some roads in both Buzzy and Namatan are still being blocked. The UN Search and Rescue Command Center warns the NGOs to be very careful while heading to the disaster areas.
Tzu Chi disaster relief mission team in Malawi has arrived in Mulanje, a county located in the south. It is also one of the hardest hit areas. Tzu Chi volunteers went to the local shelter to understand affected residents' needs and their living conditions.
We are at Mulanje, a county located in southern Malawi. Cyclone Idai had caused severe floods in this area for 2 weeks. You can still see signs of flooding, although the brick houses are durable and strong, but they couldn't withstand the floods. Now most houses have been damaged. Miwalo is a village inside Mulanje. We can see houses have been damaged. Tzu Chi disaster relief mission team has arrived to understand the needs of the affected villagers.
We have received some information from the United Nations. While taking them as references, we also came to the affected areas to personally understand the survivors' needs and their living conditions. This can help us check whether the information that we received was correct or different.
Due to flood damages, the local villagers cannot live in these houses. Therefore, the government has set up a shelter for them. A month after the cyclone, there are still 139 people being displaced.
Right there is our kitchen. We'll go inside the school at nighttime and we'll sleep inside the classroom.
The Milonga school is the shelter for this village. Tzu Chi volunteers have arrived to understand the villagers' living conditions and daily basis.
The school ends at 2 p.m. When the students leave, they will move aside their desks and chairs. You will see that they have put their sleeping things right over there.
In addition, the crops have been badly affected by the disaster. The river in this community have flooded, leading all the crops to be destroyed. The severe situation will influence the next cultivation period as well.
After understanding the overall situation, we will combine all the information and have a full-scale evaluation on how to help villagers to overcome their difficulties during this period of time.
Cyclone Idai has affected 14 counties and around 870,000 people in southern Malawi. Tzu Chi disaster relief mission team will continue their relief mission to visit other disaster-affected areas, helping those in need.
City volunteers have been visiting many disaster sites in southern Malawi. During the visits, volunteers have found out that many residents lack food supplies. Before heading to another disaster area, volunteers want to deliver corn flour. Therefore, they asked the local youth volunteers to help divide the corn flour into small packets.
We're going to Mulanje tomorrow, and then we need them to pack them in small pack for us right now. Can we do it now?
After hearing what Tzu Chi volunteer had asked him to do, this young man immediately went to the garage and bought out a big sack of corn flour. The girls have put it in small packets.
We have a lot of patients here. We are helping, and also other people who are facing disasters as well. So, yeah, Malawi is going to change.
A small packet of corn flour weighs 1 kilogram, although it's not too much, but it is filled with love of these young volunteers.
We pack them nicely, showing our love, so that when we give to the people, they can also feel our love.
With the help of everyone, 20 packets of corn flour have been packed quickly. It's a way of sending their best wishes to the affected residents.
In September 2017, after a strong earthquake hit Mexico, city volunteers have been giving continuous support and love toward the local residents. In December of that same year, they started to conduct free clinics in Hohula. It has been more than 20 times now. This time they're back with the full support of the local health department and medical personnel.
This is my 24th medical service. So since day one, we commit. We were coming back. Here we are again.
No matter whoever comes to the clinic, they will be able to find help and receive care, from spiritual to medical and also dental services. They can even seek alternative medicine, but above all, it's medical care of the highest quality. It's already been 2 years and they have never left us.
Service after service, more and more local people join us. Now I think they have around 100 volunteers. We have some local doctors. We earn their trust.
This is the first time that I'm working with this group. We are all giving our services to help the community, benefiting people with scarce resources. There are suction cups that create indentations. In the US, many knows about cupping. It is a technique from traditional Chinese medicine. However, it is also used in traditional Mexican medicinal practices. It's very safe and very effective. It's useful for many different pathology practices.
I came here seeking some type of treatment for my partial paralysis. It was all due to having an episode of high blood pressure. Here, the doctors gave me massages and also acupuncture treatments, even though it hurt a bit, but I am much more relaxed now. I feel a lot better.
Ahorita como que me siento relajado, me siento un poco mejor.
My son is paralyzed from the chest down as a result of a single gunshot incident. He has bed sores on the right side of his rear end.
The lower half of his body has no sensation, so when he has been sitting down for too long, he doesn't feel the pain associated with it. That's why he has developed many bed sores as a result. When I was here, September of last year, I went and visited him at his house. Today I helped him with the bed sores. Slowly over time, he will start to grow some new tissues. I recommended to him that he should go to the hospital in a month's time for a follow-up appointment.
They have visited our home 3 times before, and now we are visiting them at the clinic instead. Being able to receive free medical care is truly a blessing from God. I used to work in construction. However, ever since my son's incident, I haven't been able to go back to work.
De ahí yo no he podido trabajar en nada.
Con todos los médicos.
All of our doctors come from different parts of the country. Unfortunately, we do not have the capabilities to attend to such a large population, especially in rural communities.
They have so much love to give, and may God bless them all. For all of their knowledge, their generosity and wisdom, I want to come back again tomorrow. Let's see if they will receive me again. I must take advantage of the amazing medical services that they are offering us.
Then you see small step each time coming back. We make them realizing there's somebody somewhere care about them.
For the past 20 years, the Cambodian government has opened a free economic market. Therefore, a lot of foreign investments and factories have come into Phnom Penh. Many villas and mansions have been built. However, that also means a widening gap between the rich and poor. Let's take a look at some forgotten corners.
Bars, eateries, restaurants, and hotels have attracted local residents and foreigners here. Along Tonle Sap, people are living nightlives here every day.
Now the city scenery is very beautiful. It is so much better compared to 20 years ago.
There are 3 to 5% of people in the high-income bracket.
Taiwanese businessman Zheng Xinhua has witnessed the changes brought by foreign investments. In the past 3 years, the prices of high-end villas have risen to $1 million US. Many houses also cost between $150,000 to $200,000 US. For 90% of the local residents, even when they take out loans, they might not be able to afford houses that cost less than $50,000 US.
The government has been hoping to promote labor housing. However, it has not been able to be implemented. Crossing Tre Chongwar Bridge, we travel from Kopich to Tre Chongwar. A lot of investors have come here. In the past 2 years, the price of land has risen from tens of USD to 2,000 to 3,000 USD per square meter. This place has become Phnom Penh's second largest golden development area.
After the Cambodian government has opened up the free economic market, Phnom Penh's land prices have risen much. Despite that, there are forgotten corners. Since her husband passed away in a car accident 4 years ago, Chunli Kana has been making a living by selling food. Working at the stall for 10 hours a day, sometimes she makes less than $3 US.
I do not earn enough, therefore I help people do laundry work on the weekends.
Chunli Kana has 5 children, with the youngest one being 4 years old. After her son finished school, he will help his mother with cleanup work.
We eat 3 meals a day, but we only cook once. Since the children eat snacks, they do not have the appetite for lunch. We save the morning leftover for dinner.
The sheet metal house is dilapidated and located in a dirty environment. Despite that, it is the warm home for this family.
On the outside, we see the houses of the rich people. Coming inside, we see houses like these. They are either small or sheet metal houses. Some of the rent costs $15 US.
The residents living under the poverty line seem to be isolated from the world. The love that has transcended boundaries will continue to warm the hearts of the underprivileged people. Today, Philippines chapter hosted the first 3-day all-English training camp for incoming volunteers. They invited the founder of an architecture firm to share his thoughts and experiences.
It removes the differences between backgrounds, different religions, and makes us remember we're all part of Tzu Chi.
From knowing Tzu Chi to becoming a Tzu Chi member, it takes time to cultivate the humanistic culture and understand the essential spirit of Tzu Chi.
The dining, the sitting, the walking, and a lot of basic social habits that this foundation it cultivates within its people. And I think it's important because it represents what this foundation is.
These new volunteers in training of the Tzu Chi Philippines chapter all possess good English skills. Therefore, they hosted the first English volunteer training camp where all classes are in English.
What is a good life? That will be the questions that we will be asking for the 2 days, and hopefully we would understand.
The speaker on the stage, Felino Jean Palafox, is the founder of an architecture firm. He has helped to rebuild 5 schools after the massive earthquake in Iran in 2003. He is the pioneer of Tzu Chi's Hope construction plan in Middle East.
There's a sense of gratification inside. It was a very inspiring work that I'll always be grateful to the master, to Tzu Chi, and also for the people from Iran for the opportunity to be of help.
His wisdom has grown as he aged.
In a little way, we might be able to help our country, inject more spirituality and patriotism, and yet we're not properly exploiting these resources for the benefit of mankind, for the benefit of all Filipinos, not just the wealthy Filipinos.
Ay yung compassion, yung giving wholeheartedly, na walang hinihintay na kapalit na.
Through the humanistic cultivation of the training camp, they are learning to become a better rounded person so they can represent Tzu Chi to pass down great love with compassion and kindness.
In our next report, we'll meet Tzu Chi volunteer Kang In Lee, who has been promoting bone marrow donation for more than 15 years. In the past, he used to have a bad temper. After joining Tzu Chi, he began to cultivate good thoughts. One of his turning points was when he went to the U.S. When he was away from his family, he realized the importance of family. Returning to Taiwan, he started to improve himself to become a better person.
First, we'll collect the stem cells through the cell separator machine. The separator hematopoietic stem cells. The doctors will first provide you with some painkillers. If you feel any kind of pain, you'll be able to take them.
Patiently explaining the donation process, Tzu Chi volunteer Kang In Lee has been promoting bone marrow donation for more than 15 years already. He has helped many people find a match and prolong their lives. However, he was always this patient with others.
I used to be a perfectionist, especially when it came to the working environment. If anyone made a mistake, I would just yell at them. I would argue and not listen to what others have to say. When I was younger, I even had sworn at my brother-in-law. I remember one time my friend came to work for me. He had told my wife that, thank goodness, that I had joined Tzu Chi already, because he couldn't imagine what my life would be like right now if I hadn't. At that time, I had already joined Tzu Chi for about a year to 2 years.
Mr. Kang's father had passed away when he was little and his mother remarried. He wasn't doing well in school, which resulted in him having very low self-esteem. As for the topic of marriage, he never thought that would ever happen to him.
After going out for just a couple of months, my mom was really pressing on the idea of getting married. I told her not to get her hopes up. At the time, I had a lot of pride and a huge ego. It was hard for me to deal with the fact that my wife had a higher education level than me. One time I went over to her house, and my mother-in-law saw me and thought that I was all right. Moreover, my wife had a dream about my father-in-law giving him his approval for the marriage. We took out loans to pay for our wedding. I also borrowed money from my grandmother. At that time, I wanted to just have a civil marriage. I didn't want to have a wedding reception. As you can see, when my wife married me, it wasn't easy at all. She went through a lot of struggles in the beginning.
After marriage, Mr. Kang didn't change his explosive personality at all, in which gave both his wife and children a very hard time.
One time, I had slapped my youngest son's face, causing half his face to be bruised. When he came back from school the next day, my wife had asked him, what did he tell the teachers and classmates about the bruises? My son replied he would say that he accidentally fell down. When I heard this, I instantly teared up. I deeply regretted what I've done to him. There was one time I hit her during a violent outburst. My wife left home. Later, I brought her back and I made a promise to change myself for the better, but I still couldn't control my temper, and I would make the same mistakes over and over again. I remember there were a total of 2 times when I was riding my motorcycle with my wife and 2 children on it. As we were passing over a bridge, a negative thought suddenly popped into my mind, and that was to ride off the bridge. Just when I was about to speed up, the negative thought had disappeared, and fortunately, my mind had become clear again. I went to the U.S. because I felt depressed at that time. My wife and I argued all the time, and I just didn't want to deal with her anymore. I wanted to leave the family, so I lied to her about going to the U.S. for just a short period of time. But actually, I was going to stay there for a long time. Before leaving for work in the mornings, I would always bring a lunchbox for myself. Whenever I opened the lunchbox, it reminded me of home. I remembered I started to break down. That was when I realized the importance of family.
The lunchbox had reminded him of home, therefore he had changed his mind and head back to Taiwan. While walking the Bodhisattva path, he also found his inner peace.
One time I accidentally turned on the DaAi TV channel and saw there was a fundraising sale of CDs. I told my wife we should buy a set of them, and of course she said yes. My wife also asked another volunteer if next time they were going to the Jingsa abode in Hualien, we will come as well. I can still remember attending the morning volunteer assembly at the Jingsa abode, listening to Dharma Master Zheng Yin's teachings. I was sitting in the back at the time, and I didn't know why, but tears just kept on rolling down my face. For me, promoting the idea of bone marrow donation is a challenge because you have to face many different donors, explain to them in detail that it's a chance for them to save someone's life. It's a chance for the patients to get a second chance at life. Bone marrow donation not only saves the patient's life, but it actually saves the whole family. Another point is that we as volunteers would be there to accompany both the donor and patient throughout the whole process. It's a type of spiritual support. Being able to help others is a great feeling. I have learned much through giving of myself. In the end, I would like to thank my wife for not giving up on me. She gave me the chance to start a brand new chapter. Now I would also like to give others the chance to change their lives for the better. I want to inspire more people to walk the Bodhisattva path. I myself will continue to walk on this path to help more people in need.
In Indonesia, students from Tzu Chi Love School visited the community seniors. Bringing joy to the seniors, the students also gained a lesson on filial piety. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.